Hi, this is Ash Agrawal and now I am going to have the presentation on the module 3. First of all, I am very thankful to the Mr. Satish sir who gave me this opportunity to show the presentation in front of you. Guys, this presentation is based on a video. Since I don't have the projector, so I am making it in the laptop. The presentation on the module 3 is based on the mainly two chapters. The first one is the inheritance and the second one is the polymorphism. Now the first one is the polymorphism. The polymorphism means having the many forms. The word poly word means many, and the morphism means the forms. So combining the both terms, we will get the polymorphism. The polymorphism word is actually having the many forms. That is, we can make multiple functions, or we can make the multiple function using the same function by the help of the return types. We can use multiple return types so that we can get different type of results. It is mainly divided into two components. The first one is the compile time and the second one is the run time. The compile time is also known as the static or the early binding, and the run time is also known as the dynamic or the lazy binding. The compile time is also basically divided into two types, function overloading and the operator overloading. And the runtime is also divided in two types, the function overloading and the pure virtual function. So the whole polymorphism is basically divided into four types, which means that the function overloading, operator overriding, function overriding and the pure virtual function are all the types of the polymorphism. Function overriding is a special case of the polymorphism which uses the inheritance in the concept. Now let us move to the another slide. The first one is the compile time or the static or early binding. There is the function overriding. The function overriding, that is the C++. In the C++, the operator, that is the overloading, function overloading is permitted in the C++. Now in the next slide I will show you a sample program of the function overloading. I have made a class which is named as the base. Now in the base I have made it a public, and the function name is sum. I have called it by the void, that is the data type is void. So coming to the program, it is base t1, the object name is the t1. So t1 dot sum is the value in which the integer a is the return type. So t1 dot sum, in this value I have made 10. So it will go to the program in the function that is in the class void sum int 10. Then it will result that the cout, this term is integer and the number you choose is a. The a number is 10. So my result is this term is integer and the number you choose is 10. Now I will go to the other one, t1 dot sum 5.34. 5.34 is a floating or the double function. So 5.34 will go to the sum double a, void sum double a. This term is a floating term and the number you choose is 5.34. The same output will be returned in it. This term is the float and the number you choose is double. This is a sample program in which I have made the function named common to both the functions, that is sum. Sum function is common to both the functions, but the value of both the functions is different. First one is the 10 and the another one is 5.34. Now let us take the another example, but first of all let us take the output of the above code. The output of the above code is this term is integer and the number you choose is 10. This term is float and the number you choose is 5.34. Now let us move to the another topic, that is the operator overloading. Operator overloading is the special case of the polymorphism. Basically we know that the operators are of many types. Just for example, the plus plus, the minus, the modulus, the multiplication and the division. It is a flexible option for the creation of the new definition. For example, the syntax is, first of all I will go to the syntax and then I will go to the sample example of it. The first one is the return type, then the class name, and then the scope resolution operator, followed by the operator and then the argument list. In that we will go to the curly braces, and the curly braces we will have the function body. We will close the curly braces, and this is the major operator overloading syntax. We can overload like almost all the C++ operators except the class member access operator, the scope resolution operator, the size of operator, the condition operator, that is the question mark, and the scope resolution operator. So we can overload all the type of C++ operator except the 4. Now the sample code of this program is, since in this sample question I have made the class name is base, and now I have called it publicly. Integer a and b are the variables. I will give the a and b different type of value in the constructor base. The same name is given to the constructor as the name of the class. I have given a equals to 10 and b equals to 11. Now I make a function named the show, which I called it void. So it will not return any other type of value. I have printed the value of the a followed by b, and then a message texted as the thanks. Then I have made it an operator minus minus. The minus or minus operator. The operator here is a keyword. We all know basically about the keyword, that keyword is something which commands the C++ to perform any special task. So the operator plus plus will give you, operator minus minus will give you the value of the operators. For example, I have made plus plus a and the plus plus b. In this, the value of the a and b will change. Now I have closed the class, and then I have made the int main, the main function. In the main function, I have made the base t.show. The object name is t. So t.show will call the show function here, and the show function here shows the value of a, value of b, and the thanks. Value of a by the constructor is 10, value of b by the constructor is 11, and then the message of the thanks is printed. This is the source output of the first part, 10, 11, and then thanks. Now let us move to the another one. Let us move to the another one. T1, that is minus minus. Just a second, please. Minus minus t. Minus minus is the name of the operator function. So the minus minus t is the operator overloaded by this. So t dot show, that is minus minus t, will go to the operator minus minus, and it will shows the plus plus a and the plus plus b. The value of the a and the b will be increased by the value of 1. So t dot show will shows the value of a and b. Since the value of a is 10, which is increased by 1, so it will be given as the 11. Since the value of b is also 11, it will be increased by 1, that is the 12. So my values are now a equals to 11 and the b equals to 12, and that's the output of the void show, that is cout a. A is 11, a is 11, b is 12, b is 12, and then the message of the thanks is printed. This is the overall program. That is, I hope that it is visible to all of you. 10, 11, thanks, 11, 12, thanks. This is a basic typical example of the operator overloading. Now let us move to the another part. That is the types of the overloading, operator overloading. Basically it is divided into two types: unary operator overloading using the member function, and then the unary operator overloading using the friend function. Now let us move to the runtime dynamic or the lazy binding. Runtime dynamic or the lazy binding is also known as what we say is a very important thing. in the C++ programming. For example, the first type is the pure virtual function and the abstract base class. First of all, let us move to the syntax of the operator runtime dynamics. That is the virtual. We will use a keyword named the virtual. Then the return data type. Then the function name, and then the open and closing parenthesis equals to 0. This equals to 0 will represent that the all thing here is null. Now another thing is that the abstract base class cannot be called. It is a very important rule in the pure virtual function that the abstract base class cannot be called. And the virtual function has to be declared outside the abstract base class. Virtual function has to be declared outside the abstract base class. Now, this is a typical example. This is a typical case. In the abstract base class, we will make a class in which we will have the abstract base class. That is we will have two classes. The first one we will use the virtual, and the return type, that is void orient. The function name, let us say the function name is sum equals to 0. In the another class I will make the same function with the same return type, and it will be not equals to 0. Then we will call the function, and thus hence the all over the program is executed. Now let us move to the another one, that is function overriding. Function overriding uses the method of the inheritance. So it is very important because it combines two methods in the C++ programming. The function overriding example is such that I have made a class, base class, in which I have made a void in eat. Cout is the eating. I have made another class dog, in which the publicly I have called the animal, in which publicly I have made the same function name, and I have written eating bread. So void integer, the dog d equals to dog, so d dot eat. This is a typical example of the function overriding. I hope this is all clear to all of you. Now let us move to the another part of the module 3, that is the inheritance. Inheritance is a very important thing in the C++ programming. Basically, inheritance is the combination of different type of classes to different types of forms. For example, I can use multiple classes and can call multiple classes by the multiple forms. The major inheritance is of 5 types: single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and the hybrid inheritance. This all is shown here: single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and the hybrid inheritance. The mechanism of deriving the old class from the new class is known as the inheritance. That's all about it. Let's talk about the single inheritance in detail. The basic syntax of the inheritance is the class. Class is a keyword, as we all know. The derived class name, let us say that the derived class name is A. Then the access specifier, that is the public or private or the protected. Then the base class name. Base class name is whatever you have given here. Let's say the base class name is B. Now we will have the body of the derived class and assume that the A is the base class and B, C, D are the derived classes. The single inheritance syntax is little bit different from this simple basic inheritance syntax. The syntax here is class A, then the body of the class base class B, access specifier. Let us say that the access specifier is public, and by default we will take the public as the access specifier. We will call the base class, that is A, and then the body of the derived class. This is the basic definition, basic syntax of the single inheritance. Basically, we are making a class A, then we will publicly call the class publicly call it in the class B. Now let us move to the another one, that is the multi-level inheritance. The multi-level inheritance, the syntax is almost same but a little bit different. We will use the class A, class B, as well as the class C. The basic syntax of the multi-level inheritance is class A, that is the base class, the basic base class. The you can say the mother of the all the classes. I have made the class A. Now I have made the body of the class A, then the class B. Publicly I have called the class A, that is derived class of A. So B is the derived class of A. Then the class C we will have the publicly B. I have made the derivation of B. So A is the so we can say that class C is derived from the B and the B is derived from the A. This is basically a chain, that is we will call A, then the B and then the C. Then we will make the body of the class C. This is a typical syntax of the multi-level inheritance. Now let us move to the multiple inheritance. The third one, that is the multiple inheritance, is also very good. The multiple inheritance syntax is the class A, then the body of the class A, class B, body of the class B, class C. Class C will be called as the publicly B and the publicly C. We will use two derived class in the form of the class A and the class B. That is the major difference between the multiple and the multi-level inheritance. Basically, people mainly are confused in both the inheritances. I have seen many people which are confused in this. So this is a major example, that is class B and the class C. Class A and the class B is called in the class C. Note that the constraints of this type of inheritance comes in the function overriding, in which the function becomes confused for which function it should call. Now let us move to another example, that is the hierarchical inheritance. The hierarchical inheritance is in which that the syntax is class A, body of the class A, class B, publicly A, class C, publicly A, and the class D, publicly A. I have made the derived classes at the B, C, D, and all the base class is called in the all the derived classes. This is the major difference between the public hierarchical and the multi-level inheritance. Now let us move to another inheritance, that is the hybrid inheritance. In the hybrid inheritance, class is A, that is body of class A, class B, publicly A, class C. The body of the class B and the class D is publicly B and C. We have used the hybrid, that is we can use the single inheritance, we can use multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, and the hybrid inheritance in the hybrid inheritance, hierarchical inheritance in the hybrid inheritance. That is, we can use all the four type of inheritance in the different ways, so that we can make the hybrid inheritance. Now let us move to another one. That is the constructor and the deconstructors inheritance. As we all know that the constructors are those which uses the same name as the class, as well as it has the basic difference, that is it can use all the members without the calling of the function. So we will use the syntax class. Class is a keyword. Then the class name, we will use the publicly. We will call the class as the public. Then the class name is a function, as we all know that it is a constructor. We know that the deconstructor is also called by making a negation sign in front of the constructor. So we will use firstly the class name, that is the constructor, then the second class, the derived class. We will use the derived class here, class, derived class, then the publicly class name. Publicly the class name is the base class. The base class is the publicly class name, and then we will call it public. Derived class name, that is the constructor for the another class. This is the derived or class constructor. So this is basically the typical syntax of the constructors and the deconstructors in the inheritance. It is mainly used in the inheritance for many multiple ways. For example, we have used it I use it in many programs here, and I hope that this video will be very thankful for you. It is very useful for all of you. That's all. Thanks you.